Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Guess what? We're back in another life series spin-offs video. I'm going to be reviewing a load of these life series. Last time I didn't plan anything, I winged it and you guys seem to love it. However, this time I've looked at the comments in the last video and I'm reviewing the best ones. Okay? So, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so this first one is called Swap Life. I'm going to be reviewing all of these Clock Life seasons. So it's like I think there's 5 of them in total. However, I can't seem to find the number 1, so we're starting at Clock Life Season 2, Swap Life.
Welcome to the second season of Clock Life, which is called Swap Life. In this season, you have 24 hours to live.
Okay, so it looks to me just like limited life at the moment.
You're above 16 hours, you are green and are peaceful. Above 8 hours, you are yellow, where you can kill greens. And when you descend below 8 hours, you are hostile and can kill anyone. When you get a kill, you gain 30 minutes. But if you die, you lose an entire hour. There's also 1 to 3 boogeymen chosen per session, where their
1 to 3 boogeymen. That's a lot of boogeymen.
goal is to get a kill before the end of the session. If the boogeyman successfully gets a kill, they gain 1 hour while the opponent loses 2. At the beginning of the season, you will be paired with another random player known as a swap mate, where every 5 to 20 minutes you guys swap places. And without further...
I'm sorry, what? So, every now and again, like, you just swap with so it's like a soulmate in Double Life, but instead of having a shared health, you just swap places every 5 minutes.
Let's get started.
So that actually seems really cool. It probably leads to a lot of different sort of strategy. So yeah, I'm gonna move on to the next one. We're gonna speed round this. We're going straight to the next season 3, Time Life.
Clock Life. In this season, you start with 60 hours, every 10 hours being a different color stage. You have no health bar, and when you take damage, you lose time.
Oh yeah, I remember looking at this one. In my notes here, I've written it's it's a bit like Secret Life, but instead of losing hearts, you lose time instead.
Every heart you take is 6 minutes of time loss. However, there's a way to gain time back. On attacking another player, you gain 50% of the time they lose. On the final 10 hours of your life, you turn violet. When a violet player attacks someone, they cause the opponent to lose double the amount of time they normally would, and the violet gains double the amount of time they normally would. There's also a twist on the boogeyman called the quota. When you are infected with the quota, you have to deal an hour of damage to another player to pass on the curse. Whoever
I love this. This is so cool.
has it last loses 2 hours.
That seems insane. That seems very complicated, but very. I'm speechless. That's really cool. Anyway, no time to dawdle. We're moving on to the next one.
Welcome to Charged Life. In this series, every player will start out with a charge of 100%. 100 to 75% is dark green, 74 to 50% is lime, 49 to 25% is yellow, and 24 to 0% is red. And once you run out of charge, you are eliminated. Every 20 to 60 minutes, you will lose a random amount of charge from 1 to 5%. This is an individualized timer, meaning each...
This is a very interesting way of you having a life system, because it's almost like you have 100 lives.
Player will lose charge at different times than each other. Every time you die, you also lose a random amount of charge between 1 and 5%. But every time you get a kill, you gain a random amount of charge from 1 to 3%. Yellows can kill limes and dark greens, and reds can kill anyone, including each other. The final twist is the virus, where one player is chosen at random by the server to be infected. When the infected player punches a non-infected player, they gain 1%, and the player they punch loses 2%. This passes the virus, and the previously infected player becomes immune. Players who are immune can see who the infected player is and can warn other non-infected players of the infected player's approach.
This is a very weird boogeyman. I wonder at what point in the series, this happens, because it doesn't seem like it happens on the first episode. Although I don't know.
Whoever ends with the virus loses 3% in addition to the 2% they already lost. There are a bunch of shenanigans and tomfoolery on the way, so let's get started.
This is very interesting because it feels like you have about 20 lives, or a bit more than that, 25 almost. So it seems like it might last quite a while, if you know what I mean. Because any death, you only lose about 4%, I think. Like 1 to 5. So it seems like it lasts a lot longer than most live series, and I'd be interested to see just how many episodes these guys got out of this. Right, moving on.
Welcome to Ultimate Life,
This is definitely the most chaotic out of the 5.
the fifth and final installment to the Clock Life series. This season will play differently than all others, as at the beginning of the series, you'll roll one of the 4 previous seasons of Clock Life, being Clock Life, Swap Life, Times Life, or Charge Life. Now here's a brief summary
I mean, that's quite interesting.
of each season. You start with 10 hearts, and every time you die, you lose 2 hearts, and killing gains you 1. You also lose a heart every hour. You start with 24 hours, but you are paired with another player called a swap mate, where you swap places every 10 to 30 minutes. You gain 30 minutes for each kill, and lose an hour on death. You start with 60 hours and lose time upon every hit, but gain by hitting other Timed Life players or killing non-Timed Life players. You start with 100% battery. When you kill, you gain 1 to 3%, and dying costs you 1 to 5%. You also tick down 1 to 5% every 20 to 60 minutes. There's also a hot potato boogeyman that varies.
So that kind of means, if I'm right in saying that the charge life will last slightly longer than the others, that sort of means that they have an advantage if you roll that. So I'm assuming they've checked, and all the different life series lasted a similar amount of time, or this wouldn't really work.
Depending on which season you rolled. Punching a charged life player would pass the virus, dealing 1 hour of damage to a timed life player would pass the quota, and regularly killing a clock life or swap life player passes the boogeyman curse. And with all that out of the way, let's get into Ultimate Life.
Okay, so that, as you can tell, seems very chaotic. So that one is definitely the coolest one we've seen so far. Yeah, that's quite impressive that they've managed to pull that off. So I will see you in the next one. Okay, so this is called Silent Life. It's definitely on the smaller side to the amount of changes they make. Let's just watch the intro.
Welcome to Silent Life, a much quieter spin-off of Grin's third life. In this series, you start with 3 lives. On your first life, your name is Green. On your second life, you're Yellow. On these 2 lives, your goal is simply to be social and peaceful. However, once you die on your yellow life, you turn red, becoming hostile to other players. This series has a simple but unique twist to make it more interesting. Tab list and chat are completely disabled, preventing you from knowing who's died. The only indication of other players' demise is their name color and the cannon shots that play at night for each player's death.
So that is interesting, I would say, because you don't actually know who's dead or alive unless you see their name, or you've watched them die. You know, so it's an interesting one. And although I think you should, there's 2 pointers. I think if you saw their name color, then it would be slightly more. It's slightly less of a challenge to keep track of who's on what color, because you can see their name above their head. If you just go around the server, check out everyone, you'll see their name. And however, if that was hidden, if everyone had like a white name, then red players could basically trick green players and yellow players into becoming friends with them, and then backstabbing them. I just think there's a lot more potential if you hid the name tags as well. Also, I think it should be called Blind Life, because you're not limiting speech or anything. This is very small, but I feel like since you're eliminating your visuals on who's on what color, I think it should be called Blind Life. That might just be me.
Anyways, with all that out of the way, let's jump into it.
Right, now it's time for my long list of Double Life rip-offs. I got a lot of these in my previous video because I wasn't planning anything. So, a lot of them were just Double Life with no extra twists or anything, which is fine. We like Double Life, and I love to see that people are keeping that sort of thing alive. It was one of my favourite series from Grin. But they get a bit boring after a while, so I'm just going to speedrun them. We've got Duel Chance by Kwuartz. We've got Bound Life by Delayed. We've got Final Hours Season 7 by Eternal Happiness. Twinned Life by Melody ! And finally, Autumn Life by hydraticc. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already and have gotten this far in the video. And now I'll move on to some other life series. Right, there are 4 life series here that I'm going to review. Final Life Season 1 through 4. The first one is just a limited life and nothing else. Second Life here, I haven't looked at, so I've only looked at the first one.
Limited. You will be set to your violet life, where you have 1 hour to live.
Wait. Give me a sec, guys. Bear with me.
Welcome to Season 2 of Final Life, or as we are calling it, Second Life. In this season, we will be randomly selected between 2 and 7 lives. 4+ lives, you are dark green, 3 lives if you are lime, 2 lives if you are yellow, and 1 life when you are red. But when you die on your red life, you are not eliminated. You will be set to your violet life, where you have 1 hour to live. If you die as a violet, you lose an hour. If you successfully kill someone as a violet, you gain 30 minutes. Of course,
That is interesting. So it is a life system, but then if you die on your red life, you go to a limited life.
you run out of time on a violet life, the series is over for you and you are eliminated. And we can't forget about the boogeyman. Every session, the server will pick between 1 and 3 players to be the boogeyman.
It's again with the 1 to 3 players. I've seen that quite a lot recently. Normally, at least in Green series, it's only ever been 1 boogeyman. It's interesting to see that is more boogeyman more fun? I don't know.
The boogeyman has to secure a kill on a player before the session is over. You can also remove your own life and transfer it into a golden apple and give it to other players to give them your life. Anyways, let's get into it.
And everyone, welcome to Second Life.
Okay, so that's really interesting. So it's a regular life series, but as soon as you turn to purple or when you die on red and turn to purple, you just gotta start killing people as fast as you can, because you've only got an hour and you only get 30 minutes per kill. So to survive for any longer, you just have to start killing people like mad. That is really interesting. So, moving on to the Season 3, Link's Life.
This season, all of us have 6 lives each. Your first 5 lives are peaceful, but when you reach your last life,
Hang on,
your name
did you see that? Like, the different colours for different lives. That's interesting. That's really interesting.
turns red. This means you are now hostile to everybody else. The twist for this season is that your health is shared with another player. If one of you takes damage, both of you take damage.
Okay.
Starting in session 2, we will have a random duo selected to be the boogeyman.
Maybe I should put this in the double live rip-ups section. But anyway, we're moving on to the next one. Wait, I'm not giving him enough credit. Maybe there'll be another twist.
If you and your partner are chosen, you have to kill another duo to be cured. So with that out of the way,
Okay. Moving on to the last one, which is ironically named Blind Life. And I was complaining earlier that another series should be called Blind Life, but no.
Welcome to the 4th season of Final Life. This season, we all have 24 hours to live. But the twist for this season is that we cannot see the colored names. When you
Okay, so it's like the other one, but with limited life.
are on your first 8 hours, you remain peaceful and your timer is green. As soon as you descend below 16 hours, your timer turns yellow. Yellows are hostile towards greens and can kill them anytime. Once you drop below 8 hours, you become red and can kill anybody you want. Once you run out of time, though, you are eliminated. The second twist to this season is the time randomizer. When you die, you lose a random amount of time, and when you get a kill, you gain a random amount of time. Lastly,
That's
every
interesting.
session, there will be a boogeyman randomly selected. The boogeyman, like always, has to get a kill on someone by the end of the session to be cured. So with all that out of the way, let's get into...
Okay, so this is very interesting because yawn. Okay, so now you get it's a bit more random of how much time you lose and gain, which I kind of like. I like that one, and you also can't see each other's things. I think my favorite one, Second Life. It's just my favorite one. I don't know why. I think it's the. Okay, so this one you may think should be part of the sort of double life ripoffs, but there are a few extra twists that just completely change the game. So I'm going to show this separate and give a full explanation to it.
Welcome to Broken Life, the 5th season of LSR, and in this season we're playing a modified version of Grin's Double Life series. In Broken Life, we start with 5 lives, going from aqua to green to yellow to orange and finally red.
That's something I find interesting, the fact that people are adding different colors. I think it's I think it's cool because I don't know why. I just think it's weird.
On top of having a soulmate that you share all hearts and lives with, there are 2 new roles introduced, known as the Heart Makers and the Heartbreaker. The Heart Makers are your standard boogeymen. You and your soulmate must secure a kill on a non-red player before your time limit is up. As a reward, when you kill as the Heart Makers, you'll gain 1 extra heart that stays with you until your next death. The Heartbreaker, on the other hand, is a little more complicated. If you're rolled as the Heartbreaker, your soulmate is...
Okay, so with the Heart Maker, it's the standard boogeyman, but you gain a heart if you succeed.
not told. You can choose to tell your soulmate, and if they happen to get a kill, then you'll get killed normally. However, if you choose not to tell your soulmate and get a kill yourself, you are given the ability to steal the soulmate of whoever you kill.
Okay, so wait, what? So Heartbreaker, the soulmate doesn't know that you're the Heartbreaker. You need to get a kill within the time limits, and if you do, you can swap soulmates with someone else.
Your old soulmate paired with the person that you just killed.
Oh my word. So, you killed someone, and then steal your soulmate, and the person you killed gets your old soulmate. That creates enemies, man. Although I think he said there that you could just tell your soulmate that you're the boogeyman, Heartbreaker or something, and then it's just a regular boogeyman situation.
On your final life, you become heartbroken, meaning that you and your old soulmate become unlinked, having separate health. However, if you die on your red life, you're not necessarily out. Your final...
Okay, so on your red life, you split up with your soulmate and you're no longer connected.
Ex-soulmate gets to choose whether to take you out of the series and gain 2 extra hearts for themselves on their red life, or to save your life by becoming soulbound again. Now,
Okay, so there are two ways, two things that can happen if you die on red. Either you die and get kicked out of the series, and your soulmate gains 2 hearts, or your ex-soulmate, person who used to be your soulmate, gets 2 hearts, or you become soulbound again with your soulmate, and that makes it slightly more difficult, because it's very difficult to share a heart bar with someone.
let's get started.
I really like that. That's probably my favourite one so far, I think. I've said that with pretty much every series here. But yeah, that's a really cool concept. Okay, now I have actually saved the best one for last. Or in my opinion, at least. And I'll show you in a second. So this is my favourite one. It's to do with players having passive effects. going on in the background rather than completely changing the game. It's called Emotion Life, and let's see how it is.
Here we go again. Welcome to the 4th season of Life Series Reborn, Emotion Life.
So this is the sort of group of people who do all the best ones. Life Series Reborn. I really like them. You should definitely check out their stuff.
In this season, each player will be randomly rolled between 3 and 7 lives. On top of this, each life, every player will be rolled a random emotion from the pool on the screen. Each emotion has a unique buff and debuff which radically affects your playstyle. Once players go down to their...
I really like that, because it really changes how you would play the game without specifically making you worse off than other people. Or just make it impossible to do anything else, you know?
their final red life, they become hostile and can attack and kill other players. If you die on your red life, you're out of the series. Additionally, there are 2 other unique roles that are given out each session, known as the Paranoid and the Depressed. Twice each session, a player has a chance to become paranoid.
Okay, so we kind of have 2 boogeymen.
This means that at random intervals, they will hear random mob noises, get debuffs, and even receive jump scares. Effects that make it both difficult to play and to conceal. The only way to get rid of these effects is to get a kill on another player.
Okay, so we got the Paranoid, which just makes you get random mob sounds everywhere, which will probably be really funny and have some really funny moments.
If the Paranoid fails to do so within the time limit, they lose a life. Additionally, there is a second session-long role called the Depression. One player will be rolled as the Depression at the start of a session. The depressed player can pass on the depression by standing next to a non-depressed player for an extended amount of time. This will fill up their depression meter, and once that bar is full, the depression will pass between the players. The player who ends the session with the depression will lose a life.
So it's... I don't know how that's going to work. Will the players know who it is, or will they just be suspicious of people hanging around for too long?
That's about it for Emotion Life. Now, let's jump in. Go on.
Hello, everyone.
So yeah, that was my favourite one. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and like I said in the previous one, if any of the creators who I have made this video about want to get their section of the video taken out, that is completely fine. Leave a comment down below. I'm not trying to make anyone upset by this video. So definitely check out these guys' videos, and I'll see you all in the next one. Subscribe!